Hi everyone, I'm Lillian Svoboda and my project with YVSC focused on community waste diversion and specifically on the restaurant composting pilot program. A little bit about me, I am a sophomore at Colorado Mountain College here in Steamboat. I am majoring in ecosystem science and stewardship. I am actually the president of the beekeeping club over at CMC. I grew up in Granby, Colorado, and I love to snowboard, hike, and camp. My staff mentors for this project were Wynn Cowman, Nicole Pepper, and Dakota Dolan. Wynn Cowman is the director of waste diversion at YVSC. She has been my mentor for I've done 2 internships with YVSC. This is my second. And she has been a great mentor throughout this project. Nicole Pepper, the geospatial analyst and internship program manager for YVSC. I worked very closely with Nicole over the course of my internships as well. Dakota Dolan, who is our zero waste coordinator, helped give some really crucial input for this project. So some background for the project. According to the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, food waste comprises about 18% of the waste in the landfill every year. And the amount of organic material that could be composted composes about 37% of the total material in the landfill. Some of Colorado's waste diversion goals. They actually set new goals in 2017 to increase waste diversion and recycling over the next 20 years. Colorado is currently diverting about 15% of municipal waste, while the national average is 35%. Colorado's new goal is 45% recovery by 2036, and Routt County is currently diverting about 13%. Some more background. When organic waste is discarded into the landfill, it actually produces methane, which is a greenhouse gas. And the intention behind this project is to divert organic waste away from the landfills to decrease those methane emissions. And so we can also turn that organic waste into compost, and it can be used for other purposes. Like I said, this is my second internship with YVSC, and I've been working on this project all the way through. So phase 1 I did in fall of 2021, and that phase of the project was focused on identifying the barriers and challenges of composting in restaurants, and also collaborating with the Sierra Club to work to decrease emissions, sharing that common goal. Sierra Club is an important part of this project because they actually provided the funding for the program. This spring, I focused on promoting sustainability and working towards zero waste by helping local restaurants start the process of composting through that grant-funded pilot program. And a big part of this phase of the project was to demonstrate that composting can be incorporated into restaurant routine and is actually a long-term investment through the offset of landfill waste. So a little bit more about the pilot program itself. Again, the funding was provided by the Sierra Club. The funding paid for it does pay for the first few months of composting for the restaurants. Part of that is that it's a set cost and they pay the composting service for their efforts, and then YVSC reimburses them for that cost. The restaurants have the choice to compost with Cowgirl Composting or Twin Enviro over the course of the program. And another thing YVSC does to help get the composting process started is the restaurant owners or managers are walked through what they can and cannot compost, and they're given a composting poster guide, which I made. And let's see, another important factor is that the cost of composting after they've participated in the program is determined by how much waste they produce during the trial months. So some options for composting in the Yampa Valley. So commercial services that we have here, Cowgirl Composting and Twin Enviro. There's options to collect and drop off for both restaurants and residents. Local farms accept compost. You just have to communicate with them about that. And then Cowgirl Compost actually does residential composting as well as commercial composting. So they will go to a restaurant and pick it up. And they actually also do the drop off. They set up a service for that. So over the course of this project, I have worked with Cruisers and Drunken Onion. They joined the restaurant composting pilot program at the beginning of February, and since then they've diverted over 3,100 pounds of organic waste from the landfill. Chris is the owner of Cruisers, and Ben, the owner of the Drunken Onion, have demonstrated initiative and passion for sustainability in their dedication to composting. They've been really great partners throughout this project, and you can just tell they're super dedicated and they love it. My call to action for this project, we are looking to add more restaurants to the pilot program. Right now, we're actually communicating with Salt and Lime to hopefully get that started. I got in contact with them through the Restaurant Association, so that was really great, which Dakota helped get me in contact with them, so that was really great. And then a really important part of this is the cost of composting will offset landfill waste. It's another incentive for restaurant owners in the long term, hopefully. As they compost, it's less organic waste that they're putting in their landfill trash, so that cost overall should decrease as they compost. Key takeaways that I have for YVSC is I contacted a lot of restaurants about joining the pilot program over the past few months, and I did get what I would just say is a variety of responses about enthusiasm and maybe not being super enthusiastic about joining. But I just think that's really important to keep in mind, is that maybe not everyone's in it for the sustainability factor. They might be in it for the cost. So it's just important to remember all of that. And I found that going into the restaurants and introducing myself in the program and then following up with either a call or email was the best way to get conversations going. I found that if I just sent them emails, I wasn't really getting responses, or if I called them and then didn't follow up, it wasn't really doing anything. Some key barriers that I identified for composting in restaurants included space. So where to put those bins for composting in the restaurant and outside. We have bears here in Routt County, so that was a big concern about if they were putting those totes outside. A lot, you have to have bear-proof bins or like a trash receptacle to put those in. Customer flow was another issue that was brought up. So springtime, you know, we have ski season, there's a lot of people, but then it kind of drops around spring break. And so just kind of identifying what the challenges were with those and if they needed more pickups, less pickups, and things like that. I also identified that short staffing was a huge issue over the last few months. And I had some restaurants tell me that they couldn't do it. They didn't have the time or the ability to train all these employees. So as the pilot program moves forward, I recommend implementing an initiative or award program. I think this really gives recognition to the participating restaurants, as well as provides incentive for restaurants that may want to join. I would suggest working with the composting services to create more structured costs for composting. Again, really emphasizing that long-term investment, that it'll just be a wash. Like, it's not going to really cost you anything in the long term. It might seem a little bit scary at first that you're going to pay for your trash and your composting, but it'll even out. It won't cost you. Continuing education about composting as well. I think a lot of people really aren't aware of, I don't find it super difficult to compost. I think it's fairly easy sorting organic waste, but just continuing that awareness and that knowledge and really emphasizing the benefits, like diverting the waste and decreasing those emissions. I also think we need to continue education about what can and cannot be composted. With commercial composting, it's actually really great. You can compost a large variety of things. That's really great. And then, but kind of going off of that, knowledge about compostable plastics has kind of come up as another barrier. Specifically, things like those bioplastics have been accumulating. So, and they're hard to break down. So kind of saying, an example, we have one restaurant that uses these compostable bags, and we kind of figure that just actually not using them, just putting all of your organic waste like straight in the bin instead of using those would probably be just better even than using the compostable bags. Some personal takeaways I had throughout my internships is I got to work towards making a meaningful contribution to my community by acting on a sustainable issue. I've gained important insights from all of my mentors, and I've gained hands-on experience in the field of sustainable work. I've also developed a lot of professional communication skills and writing skills, and definitely increase in my patience and just persistence, as well as just trying to keep pushing and getting more people on board. Some other YVSC projects that I've been a part of throughout my internships, I helped at the Root Tree event in the fall, where we plant trees along the Yampa River. I helped at the YVSC soiree, and I also helped at the new YVSC Hard to Recycle Depot. I attended a YVSC task force or organic task force meeting, and I also wrote the March Next Generation newsletter. I'd like to acknowledge the Sierra Club for providing the funding for the pilot program. I'd like to thank Chris Shea from Cruisers. Like I said, he's just been a really great partner. He's been here since the start of the program. He's so passionate about sustainability. That's why he really wants to do this, as well as Ben Strook, the owner of the Drunken Onion. He's there for the sustainability factor too. He's just passionate about it. I'd like to thank Wynn Kalman, the YVSC's Waste Diversion Director, my mentor, for just being so great throughout the course of this project, and just being really great, like connecting me with people and just really helping me through the development of this project. There's been some lows, and she's really helped encourage me to keep working and do my best. Nicole Pepper, YVSC's geospatial analyst and internship program manager. We worked closely together throughout both my internships, and just really developing my professional skills and just giving me advice. She's been really wonderful. And then I'd like to thank Dakota Dolan, YVSC Zero Waste Coordinator. She's been so great. She joined actually YVSC in the last few months, and she has helped give some input for my second internship, and it's been really crucial. She's been great. I'd also like to thank Michelle Stewart, YVSC's Executive Director, for giving me this opportunity for both my internships, actually. And it's just such a great role model in person. Does anybody have any questions?